In this video, I want to show you how to answer editing questions on the STAR test. So when you come across the passage that goes with the editing questions, the first thing you want to do is read it all the way through. Now sometimes you'll hear things that don't sound quite right, and then you'll later find there's a question about that thing. But just to get it in your mind, it's always a good idea to read it first. So let's start with that. Liberty enlightening the world. Known by many names, Statue of Liberty, Mother of Freedom, Lady Liberty, French sculptor Frederick Auguste Bartholdi's Liberty Enlightening the World is the world's most recognizable statue. When the statue was delivered to New York's Liberty Island, it was as brilliant as a shiny copper penny. You're sure to have your breath taken away at the sight of its beauty. The signature blue-green patina developed over the course of nearly 20 years. For more than a century, the statue has been a symbol of freedom for immigrants entering the United States. Though visitors can no longer tour the torch, they can climb a 377-step spiral staircase to the statue's crown. There is some debate concerning the 7 spikes protruding from the crown. The National Park Service says that each of the spikes represents one of the 7 continents. However, Statue of Liberty historian Barry Moreno disagrees. He claims the spikes radiating from the crown are meant to create a halo to symbolize her divinity. Regardless, the statue is a testament to America's spirit of liberty. So I'm going to go through these questions one at a time, and I'm going to use these sticky notes to show you what their answer choices are, and then I'll remove the ones for the wrong answers. So we're going to start with this question. What changes need to be made in sentence 1? Delete the hyphen after names. Delete the quotation marks on Liberty Enlightening the World. Change worlds to worlds. Change recognizable to recognizable. Now I'm going to go in reverse order to find the answers here. Now, whenever you see something like change recognizable to recognizable, this is a spelling question. It can easily be answered by looking the word up in the dictionary. And when you look up recognizable, you're going to see that it is spelled with a Z. So this answer is not correct. Next, changing worlds to worlds. Now, if we look at our sentence, it's the world's most recognizable statue. Worlds with an apostrophe is possessive. Worlds without an apostrophe is plural. Now, we're only talking about one world, so it's probably not plural, and we're talking about the statue that's belonging to the world. So this is probably our right answer. I'm going to say it is. I'm going to leave it up here. But because I'm going to use good test-taking strategies, I'm going to check my other 2 answer choices as well. Now, delete the quotation marks. Now, quotation marks are used to denote works of art. The Statue of Liberty is a giant sculpture. It's a work of art. So we need these. They need to be here. Delete the hyphen after names. Now this particular punctuation mark is being used, these 2 of them, to separate these other names in the middle of our sentence. And if you do that, you have to have 2. So we can't take out this one and leave this one. So that makes that the wrong answer. Moving on. What change needs to be made in sentence 2? We're going to change is to was. I'll put it right there. I'm going to move this out of the way so we can see what we're doing. Change Yorks to Yorks. Change island to island. Now again, I'm going to go in reverse order. It just makes more sense to me that way. So, Liberty Island is the name of the island. It's a proper noun and it must be capitalized. Island is part of that name, so we're not going to change the capital I to a lowercase I. Now, New York, this way, is a possessive, and New York does possess Liberty Island. It's in New York Harbor. So we can't take out the apostrophe and make it just plural. So that's the wrong answer. Which leaves our answer choice change is to was. And let me show you why that's the right answer. We have 2 verbs in this sentence. Is, which is present tense, and was, which is past tense. They have to agree. So they either have to both be present or both be past. Now, this sentence is talking about when the Statue of Liberty was delivered to New York. This was over 100 years ago. So we're not going to be using present tense. So we're going to make this verb match this verb. So was is our answer. Next question. What change needs to be made in sentence 3? Change your to your. Change breath to breathe. Change sight to sight. Now, let's talk about sight, S-I-G-H-T, and sight, S-I-T-E, which are two words that are confused by a lot of people. It's very easy to understand the difference. S-I-G-H-T indicates you are looking at something using your sense of sight. And if you're going to have your breath taken away at the sight of something, it's because you're looking at it with your eyes. S-I-T-E could be a website, it could be the location of something. So this is referring to looking at something with your sense of sight. S-I-G-H-T is correct. Now, when we change breath to breathe, we're changing a noun to a verb. And if we say this out loud, even if we're only reading it deliberately out loud in our heads, it's going to sound so wrong. You're sure to have your breathe taken away. No way. That's wrong. So we already know that's not the right answer. Now let's look at our right answer. Your, Y-O-U-R, is a possessive pronoun. It means something should come after it. Your car, your house, your basketball. Your sure is not a thing. But Y-O-U apostrophe R-E, standing for you are, that's what this means. You are sure to have your breath taken away. That is our answer. Next, what change needs to be made in sentence 6? Change visitors to visitors. Insert a comma after torch. I'm going to borrow this one. Insert a comma after 377 step. Change statues to statues. All right, let's go through these one at a time. Now, we have the same situation here as we had up here. We're not going to change a possessive, the crown is owned by the statue, to a plural. It doesn't make any sense. So we have to have that apostrophe. This is the wrong answer. Now, putting this comma here, there's no reason to have a comma right here in that particular spot. It's just extraneous. So I'm not going to say that's my answer. Now this one, that's spelling. Look it up. As soon as you do that, you're going to see visitors has an O, not an E. Wrong answer. Now, this is the correct answer, and here's why. We have done complex sentences for a long time, and we know that when a complex sentence begins with a dependent clause, that dependent clause must be followed by a comma. There we go. Though is the same as although, which is one of our Awubis words. Though visitors can no longer tour the torch, comma, then the rest of our sentence. Okay, last one. What change, if any, should be made in sentence 8? Change service to service. Insert a comma after service. Change spikes to spikes. Or it's fine, we don't need to make any changes at all. So I'm going to start with spikes. This is the same type of question we've seen 3 times already. Or it's the 3rd time we've seen it. Adding an apostrophe makes this possessive, and this is plural. It's talking about there's more than one spike. It's a plural, not a possessive. It does not need an apostrophe. This comma is the same as putting one here. It does not need to be there. And when you read it out loud, the National Park Service says that each of the spikes represents one of the 7 continents. When you put that pause in there to represent the comma, you know that it's wrong. This is our answer, and here's why. The National Park Service is the name of the body of the government that has control over Liberty Island. It's a name. It's a proper noun. It must be capitalized. So when you follow these simple guidelines, you're not going to have any trouble whatsoever answering these editing questions.